crazy. So I have this dream where I am with people from college that I'm not even friends with anymore. I have no idea, why I'm hanging out with them, but they represent freedom, they represent joy, they represent adventure, expressing myself freely, experimentation, like all the things that you think about when you're thinking about probably just like having like a night out on the town with your college friends. And to any of my college friends that are watching this, I'm sorry that it wasn't you guys, just random people. And so we had like this great night out and we were like coming back to my house, and oddly enough it was back to like my childhood house, which makes no sense, but again, it's a dream world, so can't be too literal. And like we're supposed to hang out and continue the party and have like a ton of fun, and they go off into a different room. I think it's my brother's room, but it's like the room next door, and like I can't go hang with them, like I can't go have the fun. And I want to do that. And like they're kind of like annoyed. I feel like I'm also annoyed and frustrated, which is like the perfect word and how I've been feeling for a really long time anyway. So there it is, that familiar frustration coming up. And my parents are there, and my dad is saying that my brother has like all this money to invest in hedge funds. And my brother, God bless him, has had such a difficult path, has struggled with mental issues for his entire life. And the flip side of that is I think he's just like absolutely the most in tune person I know, like the most in touch with God, and the most like intuitive and the most like tapped into like seeing and watching spirits. And this is like a whole other video. I almost feel like when we like decide someone's mentally ill, that like the voices that they hear, just need to be shut up and medicated. But like in actuality, the voices that they hear, if they're helping them, can actually be the ones that we're all trying to listen to, because they can tell us about the future and what other people think and how to self-heal. And so we have to just be mindful of the voices that are telling us things to do that are not helpful, which someone can view as like negative forces and entities. And you need to be strong enough and powerful enough to be like, I don't identify with that voice. So that's a separate. But anyway, growing up, totally misunderstood. This, wasn't the thing people even talked about. And so it was a difficult childhood, and lots of like traumatic scenarios for me to like try to block out. Um and so cut to the dream where my dad is like, my brother's got all this money, he wants to invest in a hedge fund. um, can you help him do the research on that? And I was like, why should I be helping him to do the research on that? And he has all this money, when like, where's my money? Like no one's giving me any money. And my dad was like, well, he got all this money because, he can't work, and he has mental issues, and because you can work, um, you don't get that money. And I was like, what? Like, it's like I was on like the record scratch, like what? Like I was like so pissed off. And I was like, that's so unfair, and like I'm being taken advantage of, and I have to just like, offer up my help all the time. And here I am. Like no one has like this realization of how I was tortured when I was growing up. And I'm not making this video to complain. I'm making this video to talk about what came through in the dream, which was torture, like over and over again. I kept saying the word torture, torture. I was tortured. I was trying to like convince them that I was tortured, and they should like recognize my pain, and they should recognize that I am like worthy of receiving abundance because of my pain, right? And it hurt like so much. It hurt so much to be screaming out the word torture over and over again, that like, you ever have a dream where you just like force yourself to wake up? So that was that moment. And I was like, oh, wake up from this. Like, it was like get myself like back into the real world, and like bust open my eyes. And I was like just so glad that it was, back in my regular life. Like I was so relieved by that. And so go downstairs. Now, like I'm all like messed up from that dream. And I'm like, all right, I have to like make the kids sandwiches and get them off to school and just do the morning routine thing. And when like I really just want to sit down. I want to sit down in meditation and I want to write down what I experienced because I know that the reason why I'm not able to create from a place of joy and manifest abundance from what it feels like my soul level purpose. And I was saying this to my husband the night before, like, why when I make videos am I not enjoying it? Like, why is there like some kind of like blocker? And I feel like it's like a self-worth issue in some way. And then comes this dream. So I go downstairs, try to like get through the whole morning while just being like, don't worry, you're gonna go back upstairs, you're gonna figure this out, you're gonna listen, you're gonna write it down, you're gonna learn the things. And so having coffee with my husband and he asked me something that led me to bring up the dream. He's like, how are you feeling about me and this person next week? I'm like, I can't even think about that because what I told you about like not being able to understand like why I'm so blocked with creating. Like I just had like the most traumatic dream, which just brought up like all of this old pain. And I feel like that is something I need to work through before I can answer you about, how I feel about meeting some person next week. So I feel like that's like so last. And so I start telling him about the dream, and it so dawns on me, like as I'm telling this dream to him, that the reason why every time I go to create, I feel pain. I feel like I'm not free. I feel like I'm trapped. I feel like I'm looking for the validation of others from the outside. I feel like I'm doing it only for like surface optics. I'm doing it for like instant gratification. I'm doing it to like generate money. I'm doing it um to like get myself out of here so I can like travel more, to leave to try and be like more worldly or something along those lines. Um is because I was always associating being worthy of abundance by being broken. Get chills when I say that. And in being the person who is broken, and that being the reason why you need to create, then you need to create from a place of pain. And that's been my default. Like that has been my default the entire time. Like when I first had a job in the corporate space for many, many years, it was to get myself out of the situation of my home life so that I could create a new home and I could be in a space that looked and felt totally different than the one that I grew up in. And it was just tactical. It was like I have to escape and I have to create a different life. And all I ever did, like when I was at home growing up, was like imagine what that life would be like. Like I would have like all these different visions of it. And so my brain would always be making plans of how to do that. And I never once ever considered my heart. Like I never ever once ever took a beat, no pun intended, to be like, how do you feel? Right. So I only just was like running on the concepts of my brain because I was the broken person that needed to generate abundance to get fixed, right? But I could only do it from like a broken place. I couldn't do it from a place of wholeness. So like I just totally like skipped out on like listening to my heart, doing it from a sense of joy, doing it from a sense of like, what do I actually love to do anyway? Like I don't even know what that is. Like I'm making this video because I just assume that that's what it is because it feels like that's aligned with my soul purpose. So like I'm experimenting with this right now just to see, oh, can I wake up in the morning? Can I not practice? Can I not write a script? can I just be worthy of sitting down and sharing my story as a person who is abundant, who is whole, who is doing it from a place of not what the optics look like, of what other people are thinking, of how it will resonate with people, of what the reactions will be like, of whether or not I'll get validation, like creating to like solve for something, like creating to like fix something. Can I be like I wrote about this, but before making this video, like can I be the river that flows just for the sake of how good it feels to flow, not because of who's watching or who's getting in the river? And can I, because of that, then nourish this earth and nourish the people of the world with that flow, regardless as to whether or not they even know where it came from to begin with? And that is what I wanted to share with you today, because I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one who's living through this. I would assume I'm not. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that's carrying around pain from the past, thinking that I'm too broken to be fixed, that I can't even show up, that I'm not even worthy of knowing what I love and doing it, because I have to always create from a survival standpoint. And so if we're moving into creation from a survival standpoint into creation from the standpoint of joy and love and being a whole person already and knowing what that feels like, and then letting that emanate through you as a personification of your truth through whatever modality you love, whether it be music or painting or writing or speaking, or I mean the list goes on, cartwheels, whatever it is. Um, I think that we will need to do this collectively, because I'm sure, like I said before, many people feel this way, which is looking back at the past and not just being like, oh, I'm letting it go now, because I had thought I did that too, right? And clearly I had not. Because I was still stuck for a really long time. I mean, years, many, many years. But I think it's a looking back at the past, and someone said it really well in a recent video that I watched. I can't remember her name, but I'll put a link below, about looking at the past and actually allowing yourself to grieve it. And that was like such a powerful thing. I'm getting chills as I say that. To look back at the past and be like, okay, that sucked. That was really crappy. And it probably like sucked more in a way that than I can really even truly remember, because like we selectively remember, like we don't even actually even go so deeply as to like what truly really went down. Like we kind of just like, we're living with like a glazed over memory of it. So like recognize, that sucked in a way that was so unfair. And it was probably even worse than I remember. But it happened, right? It's over now. And just in saying that alone can allow you to feel lighter physically. I know that I do when I speak those words right now. But then looking back and allowing yourself to grieve the version of your life that you thought you were supposed to have, that like was unfairly taken away from you. And like because of that, you had all these other mistakes in your life. You became like the drug addict and the alcoholic, and you failed 1,000 times. And of course, I'm not talking, about anyone but myself, unfortunately. Damn it. Because when you are constantly in that place of should have been like this, and then I should have been like that, then you can't create in the now, because you always just think, well, it's probably going to end up being like that again, right? You actually need to go back and be like, okay, yeah, I grieve the fact that it wasn't the way that I wanted it to be. And in grieving that, there's a letting go of you needing it to have been like that, because you are now exactly as you are because it was like that. And you have the learnings, which makes you a whole person, because you're able to share from that place of what pain has felt like. You have walked the walk. You have empathy. You have a story to tell. You have a reason to be here. You have what everyone else has, the same exact brand of suffering, only different circumstances, different people. And for that, that allows you to be your own personal leader. Because when you start to tell your story and personify that wholeness in a way that you are showing others as a light, how to move forward because of that pain, what it has made inside of you, who you have now become, all of the different versions of you, all residing inside of you, showing up to make you who you are right now. Makes you a whole person, makes you perfect as you are, makes you worthy of speaking, makes you worthy of sharing your story, of telling your truth. Because what we're now talking about is the learning of self-worth, the learning of self-love. And if we were all born living that all the time, we would never have the stories of being able to learn how to get back to it. The unfolding, the true revelation of being like, well, damn, I might have been like a crazy drug addict in college, and a raver and someone who was too promiscuous and then someone who like had like 100 failed businesses. Like I might have been that person, but well, damn, look at me now. I have come so far that I'm able to recognize that the pain inside of me has made me me. And that is what resonates with you. And that is why I don't need to worry anymore about what I'm saying, about what I'm speaking, about what my truth is, about what my joy is, because it can be imperfect. And in all ways, it's exactly as it's meant to be. So if this does resonate with you, I'll invite you to share your story in the comments below. And I'm super, super excited to finally start making videos more regularly and allow everyone to come together in a way that we all are so worthy of, to share our stories, to share our truth, and to begin to shift this world.